So good morning, and thank you for coming this morning and for this first time of trying something new. And it is always a little bit scary and a little bit exciting, and to do something new. And I'm glad that you were willing to come in and be our guinea pigs. So thank you. So today I want to talk to you about something that I think that no matter what generation you are, that you can relate to this. I don't think it matters if you're what gender you are. I don't think it matters what your nationality is, what your racial background is. I think the one thing that we all have in common, and I think we've had in common since there were two people in this world, is the comparison game. That we tend to, or almost have wired into us, this desire to compare ourselves. And part of it is that we want to place ourselves in a good light, right? We want to look good. We don't want to get out there our bad stuff. Instead, we want to have our best foot or face forward. So there's a few of you that are as old as I am out there that might remember the 1980s TV series Moonlighting. Does anybody remember that? With Sybil Shepherd, and who was her co-star? Anybody remember? Bruce Willis, right. Oh my gosh, I looked at a little piece of it, and Bruce Willis was 25 years old, and he had lots of his own hair. But in the 1980s, the producers of Moonlighting, they were playing with this new camera technique, and it was called the soft filter. And so every shot of Sybil Shepherd was photographed through this soft filter so that she always, no matter what was happening, looked glowing and a little fuzzy. Now you see, the reason was because the producers were concerned about the 5-year age difference between Willis and Shepherd. Sybil Shepherd, a woman who at one time was considered one of the most beautiful supermodels of all the world, they were concerned that she might look too old at 30. 30. I can't believe that. You know, I think that what happens is when we start comparing ourselves, then what happens is we start kind of fudging it on life. You see, the 80s TV producers, they use this special technique to correct the natural appearance of the stars. But Hollywood is not the only one. Political parties did it to correct the look of their politicians, right? Clean up their act a little bit. You know, fudging their stories. There's a very famous news anchor right now who's, has been suspended for kind of stretching the truth. And on social media today and the internet, there are a boatload of apps that you can use to kind of filter your life. You know, take aspects of your life that you don't like and kind of fake it. There's even a song that is called the Photoshop Your Memories. Now, does everybody know what Photoshop is? There is this very expensive program in which you can take your pictures and you can make your skin flawless and take away your bags under your eyes and change the color of your eyes and change the background. And so this kind of parody of a song says, when your life is subpar, but you can be who you want people to think you are, but nothing snatches away our joy quicker than when we Photoshop our memories. Will you pray with me? Dear God, I just thank you for this place and this day. And I just ask you that you allow us to just appreciate and worship you. I ask that this message touches your people's heart, that they desire to be who you created them to be. Amen. So, who out there does social media? Who has Facebook, Twitter, some kind of social media? Whoever watches YouTube? We watch, various things out there, and sometimes other people's life stories make it feel like we do not have our life together, right? It feels like maybe we're not a good enough parent, or maybe our house isn't quite good enough, or maybe our marriage is not as healthy as others, and we begin to compare ourselves, and that kind of almost determines our satisfaction. Like, I don't look as wonderful as this person, so there must be something wrong with my life. No, it doesn't take much time to begin to doubt yourself. Now, I want to say this is not an anti-social media message, because I believe that social media can absolutely be an amazing way to share wonderful things and to keep connected. I believe that we can use it, like all things, in good ways and in bad. But I think we need to acknowledge that we don't need to compete with others on Facebook, but instead, the original intention of social media was to have people engage with one another rather than compare themselves against one another. One of the original people who were part of setting up social media said, ultimately, Facebook has become a narcissistic playground where the best and the funniest and the most charming aspects of our lives are publicized, and the crappy stuff, the boring stuff, the beige stuff in our lives almost never get posted. All of our walls are edited to some level, and we kind of deform the mirror of ourselves in our real lives. And it becomes a fictional movie about ourselves rather than engaging with people in real life and real time. Now that might be a little harsh, but I think in some ways it has a lot of truth. It showed that in 2013, teens and young adults who used social media sometimes were less happy because it made it look like everyone else's lives were far more exciting than theirs. And so they began to set up this social comparison, like, how come this guy gets all the great chicks? Or how come this person gets to go to all the wonderful places? Or how come I can't have the grades that this person has? But here's the ultimate reality. We have made a horrible decision to compare our everyday lives and our real lives and our hurts and our emotions and our struggles against everyone else's highlight reels. You see, what everyone else shows us is the best moments, the births of their babies, the cutest pictures of them, our engagement rings, our graduations, our new jobs, our new shoes. That sometimes makes us feel like our real lives are a failure. In today's scripture, it says, share each other's troubles and problems, and so obey our Lord's command. If anyone thinks he is too great to stoop to this, he is fooling himself. He is really a nobody. Let everyone be sure that he is doing his best And then he will have personal satisfaction. Well done. And won't need to compare himself with someone else. Each of us must bear some of our faults and burdens on our own, for none of us is perfect. You see, I wrote this message about comparing ourselves because I know that I can be my own worst critic. I can be the one who wants to edit out things of my life. That for me, I want to kind of put the soft focus on my shortcomings. You know, I wouldn't celebrate on Facebook a really hard-earned B, or maybe not even a hard-earned A-. And I might sometimes not put up a picture of myself and my grandchildren because I kind of don't like the way my hair looked that day, or that I'm wearing my glasses, or that my outfit doesn't match, or, well, a whole bunch of things. I know that I need to take to heart the message of the scripture that says, none of us is perfect. None of us. And I think that for a lot of us, especially those who really do desire to do our best, we do get hung up on the trying to be perfect part. How many out here are oldest siblings? Oldest siblings? Okay, oldest siblings, you are the worst for trying to be perfect. That is me too. Worst. Youngest children are usually the ones that can sometimes let go and let God a lot better than the rest of us, because they've had to put up with all of us bossy older siblings that want things our way or no way.
Not all of us.
Not all of us. Well, I said some of us.
I'm hoping I'll make that.
Yeah. Maybe you should have been oldest. Well, you know, the one thing is, important step to avoiding the comparison game is to remember that one snapshot, one picture, one post, 140 characters never tells the full story. The story is never told of, you know, what went behind that one post. How many years of study did it take for that one A? How many hours was that person doing their makeup, and how many camera filters did the photographer use to get that flawless picture? What was necessary to cover up the blemishes in that person's life? You see, that one snapshot doesn't tell all of the background stuff. It doesn't speak about the insecurities and the struggles. It doesn't talk about the times that the person prayed, or the bold steps that they needed to take that were so fearful. The beautiful thing about us is the fact that we have a loving God. And we have a loving God that does not require perfection from us. You know, it's our human nature that we want to think the best of ourselves. But no matter how hard we try, there will be those moments in which we fail. And that is why we are so blessed to have our loving God. Because our God offers us grace. Grace for the moments when we're not perfect. That we don't need to Photoshop out the messiness of our lives, because we have grace that covers it. God's grace allows us to live free from fear, and it gives us the freedom to try again. It frees us from pride and allows us to laugh at ourselves. It frees us from guilt. because we are forgiven. It frees us from comparing ourselves to others. Because we can trust God. We can trust God. And we can trust the fact that He loves us as His precious child. And He frees us to tell the story of our lives. So, real life is not a competition. There's a lot of things, and I do have a competitive spirit. Softball at Simply Grace is not a competition, and real life is not a competition. I can tell you that for sure. But instead, life is a journey. And we're all on that journey. And we need to find something, we need to learn something, we need to create something, and we need to engage with people along the journey. And in that way, our life will be beautiful. We need to strive to be the person that God created us to be. And that we need to find real meaning and purpose and fulfillment and satisfaction in our lives, no matter what our neighbor or that person that's our friend on any social media aspect says. And so I ask you, are you ready to do your very best to be satisfied and to celebrate life to its fullest? I don't know if any of you saw, a couple weeks ago, there was a video on YouTube that kind of went viral. It was put out by Similac Formula, and it was called Motherhood. Did anyone see it? Well, you all will have to Google it this afternoon and watch it. But it's a really kind of funny little clip. And what it has is it has a whole bunch of parents with young children, mostly babies, coming to a park, just like this park. And they're all coming to the park. And there's all kinds of people coming, mothers and parents coming. There's first the stay-at-home moms, which they have them dressed in their casual outfits. Then the working moms in their suit. Then the moms that are the very cool moms that are all tattooed. Then, I don't know what you call them. I think you call them Gap moms now. We used to in the old days call them preppy. And then the glamour moms. And then you have the bottle feeder moms and the breastfeeding moms. And then we have the stay-at-home dads. And it goes on and on as to all the parents, the cuddlers, and the ones that have them in the stroller. And they're comparing themselves to each other, and everything comes to this pinnacle moment in which they're ready to just duke it out. And then a baby carriage is let go down a very steep hill. I don't remember that name of that movie in which the baby carriage went bouncing down the stairs of the train station, but this is kind of the same idea, that the baby carriage is going full force down the hill, and all of a sudden, what happens? People decide that what is really important in life, what is really important is taking care of that baby and making sure that that baby is fine. It doesn't matter which mom or which dad catches that baby. It just matters that that baby is safe. And we as Christians are called to do the same thing. It doesn't matter what we look like, what we do for a living, how we would like to look instead. But instead, we need to stop comparing ourselves and celebrate ourselves and celebrate others for who and what they are. Happy Mother's Day.